Walsko. Alexis is the founder, chief executive officer, and visionary at Lola Red. She founded the agency at 22 years of age and has since established Lola Red as an award-winning and nationally recognized PR firm. In 2019, she oversaw the addition of a team and office in Denver, Colorado. In 2015, she oversaw the addition of Lola Pro, a division of Lola Red that represents professional athletes, including NFL Man of the Year nominee Kyle Rudolph and NHL King Clancy. Recipient Jason Zucker. In her role as visionary, Alexis nurtures the agency's passion for hustling on behalf of its clients. Welcome, Alexis.
The start of my story is that I'm pounding on my desk in my office saying, I'm 33 years old and I am the boss. 33, the boss. Get it? This was 10 plus years ago. And this was my first interaction with two people, Becca and Keegan, who would become the most essential and probably longest relationships that I have had in my life. At the time, Becca and Keegan were interns at Lola Red. As I'm having my outbreak, this is my only slide, which I will get to, but as I'm having my outbreak / breakdown, it was very much a boss moment, very much not a leadership team moment. And it really did plant the seed and set the stage for the rest of the relationship that I had with Becca and Keegan over the next 10 to 11 years. What's awesome is that I was very vulnerable in that stage and in that place, and they were able to figure out that I just didn't have the words to give the feedback, and I still don't. So thankfully, after 10 years now, I can know I don't have words to give great feedback. What also was awesome is that in developing this relationship with Becca and Keegan at that time, was that vulnerability allowed us to all be vulnerable and to develop a really strong personal relationship over the course of many years, while also developing a professional relationship. Over a few years, Becca, obviously they escalated from an earned promotion from interns, and they became essential players in my company. And I would have considered us the trifecta that was part of our winning. So we could finish each other's sentences. We could rely on each other. Our clients loved us because we could deliver results. And between the three of us, we were this amazing team that was winning, could get things done, people liked. But also on the backside, because we were such good friends, we were also not treating each other super well, which that was really difficult because as we were growing, we had more people that had joined our team, and they saw what was happening on the backside, which was not always respectful to each other, was a little bit of talking behind each other's backs. But also was cliquish because we would always choose to work with each other versus the rest of the team. So as we continue to grow and grow, the company is actually doing awesome. Companies in the millions of dollars. We have handfuls of employees. We decide at this time that we need to figure out something to harness sort of this rocket fuel. And so what we do is sign on to start with a business management process called EOS. EOS stands for the Entrepreneur's Operating System. And through EOS encourages you to build a leadership team. Obviously, our trifecta was the leadership team. And then it also gives you tools to help to apply to the rest of the team. So we just add more rocket fuel to the success that we've already had. And company continues to grow and everything continues to be good until one day we realize we need to bring someone else onto this leadership team because we need help growing this business. And right now we're way in over our heads. So we decided to hire Drill Sergeant Steve, who really seemed like a drill sergeant. I don't know if he was or not, but Steve, shortly after starting, sat the three of us down and said, I should fire all of you. And pointed at Becca and Keegan and said, this should be the end since I'm the sole owner. He didn't say fire me to me. He advised me I should no longer show up. So that was fun. And I mean, I would love to not show up for a couple of days. But that was really some tough love. And that was really tough love, especially tough love against Becca and Keegan that I was not prepared for. And also just really made me turn around 180 degrees and profess my loyalty to them even more. So what Steve noticed was we were all miserable. We were not doing things to help our culture. We were not supporting each other, which you need to do when it comes to leadership. And so, of course, I did exactly the opposite of what Steve suggested, and I fired Steve. So Steve was out the door, and I was holding on just about as tight as this little blue thing is to, or the little pink thing is to the blue thing to Becca and Keegan. And I was determined that there was no way in hell that anyone was going to break us up. And so in that, and again, remember, we're miserable. So in this situation, what I decide to do is give them everything I can. So I give them money, I give them time, I give them the teams that they want and whatever I think that they need. And I am just desperately trying to hold on to this piece of comfort and this piece of magic that I thought was meant to be. What also starts to happen is our culture at my company starts to decline. And we have people that leave that claim that we have a cliquish culture, which is super interesting. So of course, Rebecca and Keegan and I were like, there is no way we have a cliquish culture. Whereas the three of us are the original clique who like won't let each other go. So where I fucked up was holding on this tight. And it took until year 10 for Keegan and year 11 for Becca when they finally left the organization. And the beauty of it was that we continued to thrive through it. The hardest part and what I still deal with today is it is the cultural ramifications of what our relationship had on the business continue to be there. The secondary ramifications are also the loss of these really awesome personal relationships that I miss. And finally, I feel regret and I wonder what could they have done in this time had I not held on so hard? Where would the company be? And where would I be? Would I be in a better position? That I don't know. The good news is they are in awesome positions and are so happy. The other best part of the story is that other people have filled their well, they would never fill their shoes, but have replaced them in the company, and we continue to thrive. And finally, that friendship that sometimes it takes going through the hardest growth times to get that friendship is actually back. And so with Becca, I speak with her a few times a month. Keegan, just to harass him a little bit, I moved a mile away. So from him, so now he thankfully is within walking distance, and he is actually someone that I talk to probably 10 times a day. So I was able to resurrect what are truly the most important things in life, which are those personal relationships. That's the end.
Wow. That is so awesome. So awesome, Alexis. I love that we have a story about the people part of business, because that's a really real area that we can fuck up. So my first question that I have is, where's Steve?
Oh, who knows?
Okay.
And I love, like, Steve was a really seasoned business professional, and he was exceptional at putting things into boxes. Quite frankly, had we continued with Steve, I don't know that I would have a business today. So that isn't the decision I regret. It is the regret of holding on and keeping people that were miserable. That is so hard. So, and Steve, I mean, he's glad to be done with us, I'm sure.
Here's a question. What was your initial reaction when Becca and Keegan chose to leave?
A lot of sadness. And so that is sadness. I mean, we've all talked about, Anila and Reed, about how you build a business. And it is like being in the fire 24/7, but also the relationships that you build in that. There are people that are like your security blanket, there are people that are going to always be the cheerleader. There are people that are going to say okay when you're like, I guess what I just did, which is totally fuck up, who are like, it's okay. And so it was with great sadness, and it takes a while. My first reaction to everything is I say I get mad, but like my sad is the same as my mad. My disappointed is the same as my mad. So that's, I was really sad.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also happy in that they had a chance finally.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know that you've shared that the impacts on the culture and that you're still recovering from that. What are the types of boundaries for yourself that you're learning to create?
That is a super interesting question. Keegan and Becca and I did not have boundaries, which is also probably why we had such a great personal relationship. And today I do. We have new people that have started whom I haven't met their spouses. I haven't had them to my house. I mean, there's COVID times, or haven't been to theirs, and am progressing more slowly than I probably would, but it's just more thoughtfully, just because it's not just that I'm protecting myself, I'm also protecting them. Because I do have that loyalty bug, and that I don't want to hold on too tight to anything again that shouldn't be mine at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. It's amazing. And to your credit, that you have been able to keep those relationships, because that's not always the case. Do you think
you know what the best is? When enough time passes that all of the horrible things are funny. That's what I wait for. Here, so that now when we tell the story of like, remember when you were pounding on the desk? Like, mm-hmm.
Do you think, here's a question, do you think they were holding on just as much as you were?
We all were. Because it was safe and it was fun and it was great. And when you're winning, you're like, well, where else am I going to go and win? So I think that we all were, and we all really wanted to build something together.
What was the catalyst for them leaving? What was it? What did they find something else, or they knew they needed to go?
I think that they searched and found, and I think that there were just other opportunities that came to get them. And frankly, I mean, it was time. You could only make the same mistakes so many times and do the same things. And actually in business, we probably needed some super bold moves. And so these were moves that, again, I never would have made, but thankfully they made them for me.
Thank you, Alexis.